Greetings from the east, the north, the south, and this wicked ass west. The topic, the roof is on fire. The questions, why you think we need water? I'm saying we don't. Let the burn. Let's get into it. I am your host. I am the one.
I'm pretty sure we all heard about the fire that destroyed the last slave house in Newcastle, Louisiana. I used to live in Louisiana. It was a godforsaken land, racist as all hell. And you expect for black people to have sympathy for an ex-slave plantation. And this man has decided to make money off this plantation. Now, what man would you think I'm talking about? Is he here today? Mr. White, Mrs. White? Yes, they're here. Now, let me remind you one thing. 40% of the slave owners in those days were white women. So they do not get a pass. What they do, what they have done for years, is make money off the backs of black people. And the minute black people start to call these people out, they get an attitude. And then they expect sympathy. And then they come down hard on people like us to say, so what? We'll say things like, I don't give a damn if it burnt down. You know, some people, I hear a lot of people talk about the ancestors, okay? I'm a believer in the Most High God. So you may use ancestors. I'll use a scripture that say, but be sure your sins will find you out. Whatsoever man sow, that he shall also reap. In other words, you will reap what you have sown. And you expect sympathy? Give me a break. If these people was any good, they would give some of the proceeds that they make from this ex-plantation house, and they will set it aside as a memorial or maybe even as a scholarship fund in order to right their wrongs. It's not in these people's heart. They can't do it. And then when, as they call it, a historic house burned to the ground, and the descendants of slaves celebrate, they get an attitude. They expect us to have sympathy for what? Now, of course, you have some people, black people, that love these people to the core. So they'll come out and make a statement like, oh, it's a terrible thing, it's a historic site. For who? If it was such a historic site, then give some of the proceeds to the descendants of slaves. They don't have it in their heart to do that. And then if you really listen at what they say, if you visit the place, they will talk about everything except the slaves and the miserable life they have lived from birth to death. I think the number was 157 or so. Now, when they give you a number of 157, that simply means more. That's all it means. They don't talk about the people they, what's the word I should use, got rid of. Those people don't count. Those people that died on the travel coming over to that plantation house. Those people they don't talk about. You think you're going to get sympathy from foundational black Americans? Hell no. There's no way. So I'm going to go to the next clip so people will give a better understanding of what happened. And they can break it down. They can break down the history a hell of a lot more so than me. But again, I have lived in Louisiana. It was a small town called Gonzales. It was a hellhole then. It was racist then, and it's racist now. And they'll tell you about the improvements that they have made. You know, when these people talk about improvement, it's talking about improvement for them. So let's suppose they have maybe 215 white males and white females on the police force. And then maybe they'll get maybe 2 or 3 blacks, and then they'll call that improvements. Let me go to the next clip.
Nottoway was a staple in White Castle. I mean, everyone from all over the world came here to tour Nottoway. Just the history. I mean, this was built, in the Civil War. It stood this whole time, and now to see it just burned down, it's really sad.
Everybody have their own opinions on Nottoway, but it is, it is White Castle. It's one of the biggest slave plantations in Louisiana. It's historical. As White Castle, we have to think about the people, who was providing for their families.
We had this Annabelle doll in New Orleans, and the whole state of Louisiana was in chaos the whole weekend. First, you had a mummified body found in Lakeview in New Orleans. Then you had 11 inmates that escaped a prison in New Orleans, and you still have some of them on the loose. I can really go on and on after they told them, whatever you do not move that doll. Run the tape. The do not move the Annabelle doll phrase is a clear instruction related to the haunted Annabelle doll, a Raggedy Ann doll that has been featured in Conjuring Universe films. The doll is believed to be possessed by a demonic entity named Malthus. Make that make sense. And then I ran into something so crazy on Facebook. This page called Plantations and Mansions. What the hell, you big dummy? And then I said, wait. Before I judge, let's read some of the posts. Check this out. And the first post comes from Nicole Tassin Wobble. She said, I feel absolutely heartbroken for the owners. Can you imagine losing not only the house, but all the beautiful historical items and the memories? At the same time, I'm kind of mad. Why in the world did they not install some type of sprinkler system? Was it not possible? I just can't understand it. I pray the other plantation owners will do everything they can do to not lose one more beautiful home. And this she said, edit. I have been told that the owners most probably had sprinklers in the house, but there was just not enough water pressure. If that is true, I apologize to the owners and their family members. That is even more heartbreaking for them. Even if that's not true, I apologize. We are just frustrated, but I know y'all are even more so. Make that make sense. First of all, Nicole, you said you frustrated. How you think the slaves felt having to work on that plantation? How you think the slaves felt having to die on that plantation? How you think the slaves felt when they was torn apart from their family members on that plantation? In my opinion, Nicole, we don't care if you frustrated. We don't give a damn if you frustrated. In my opinion, again, let it burn.
Hey, you ever notice that blacks and whites see things totally different? We see things totally different. White people, they'll say things like they lost a historic landmark or something historical that they really want to keep alive. And realistically, they want to keep slavery alive. Somehow when they go to this place, from what I hear, it was a historical place where people went to get married. Can you imagine? These good Christian people right here, they'll go to that place, the ex-plantation house, to get married. How sick is that? Black people say, hey, something is wrong with that. You have killed so many of my ancestors here. You beat them to death, sexually assaulted them day in and day out. Yeah, I'm talking about little kids, women and men. I mean, these are some sick individuals. But somehow they want to keep that so-called legacy alive. So when it burned down, it's almost like they will look at black people and say, what's wrong with you? Black people will look at them and say, what the hell wrong with you? The place is an evil place. But from their perspective, from their mindset, from what's been passed down from generation to generation, they said nothing was wrong with it. Nothing to see here. And we see it totally different. This man is the devil. Unbelievable. But somehow, let's listen at this for a minute. You will take a group of people and you stole them from their own homeland. Now, if they escape, you say they are breaking the law. Now, if they stay and be a slave for their whole life, they're good niggers. Now, if they escape, they will impose laws to make it illegal for them to leave, but yet you broke the law when you stole them. This man is the pure devil. You will never get sympathy out of a person, black person, with a mindset to say, hey, what you have done is wrong. They don't have it in them. The older you get, you start to realize these people ain't going to change. I know all you people out there talking about reparations. Why would they pay reparations when they swear they did nothing wrong? They're not going to pay no reparations to you. For what? They would rather give that money for this war-mongering West nation led by America. They would rather take that money and piss it down the, excuse my French, throw it down the tube on wars. Reparations, forget it. They say they did nothing wrong. Let's go to the next clip.
Flames shooting out of the largest standing antebellum mansion in America. This was the scene last night in White Castle as the fire took a serious toll on the Nottoway Plantation house. Louisiana First News reporter Kayla Gaston speaking to parish officials today to get a handle on the damage there.
A day after a fire destroyed the Nottoway Plantation house, how the fire started remains under investigation.
It's a day that we were always afraid of.
Thick smoke and flames rose from the historic Nottoway Plantation Thursday afternoon, a 160-year-old structure in Iberville Parish, sparking conversation about its legacy.
There's so much controversy with the past, but you know, in the generations that we didn't live in that generation, right? The main thing is the preservation of history is so important.
10 fire departments rushed to contain the blaze. Though parts of the property were damaged, the main structure still stands.
We will continue our investigation, leave no stone unturned until we determine what has caused and why this fire happened. No timetable on how long it's going to take. This is a large-scale fire, so it's going to take a lot of effort.
The mansion, once a plantation home, now operates as a resort and museum, drawing visitors from around the world.
This event here is going to take a toll on the Louisiana tourism.
Several departments responded to help fight the fire. No injuries were reported. For Louisiana,
You know, I hope you really listen close to what that devil said. He made a statement that he talked about the past controversy. Now, that past controversy that he's talking about is slavery. And then what he said was, we're not living in that time no more. Okay, the state of Louisiana, if we're not living in that time right now, answer me this question. Let me try to break it down, talk slow. Y'all know I can't talk. But let me put it like this. Louisiana population is 31% black. Anybody out there want to guess their prison population? Remember now, 31% of the population of Louisiana is black. Well, their black prison population is 67%. And this devil gonna say with a straight face, past controversy. You gotta be joking me. You know, they have replaced slavery with inmates. The thing is, inmates are the new slaves. And they can get away with it because of the 14th or 13th Amendment. I can't remember which one. This is the reason why they can get away with it. The thing is, slavery was never abolished. No. This man right here, he, what's the word the Bible used? Create crafty counsel. What he will do is go in the back room and figure out how they can maintain slavery. And one of the things that this devil said was tourism. Tourism brings in a lot of money. I don't believe in Mardi Gras, but it's, you know, in Louisiana, Mardi Gras. I was down there for years. And this brings in a lot of money. You know, so this place where people came to tour, but they come, even if they come from overseas, people like this, they would love to come and see certain things they heard about America. slave plantations is one of the things that interests these people. But just to be fair, it interests myself too. But the thing is, that's a lot of money when you get tourists coming to your state. But one of the things he's concerned about is losing that money. Hey, this man is the pure devil. I would go on to another clip, but I think I'm going to call it. Thank you for watching. I am your host. I am the one.